You know that feeling, right? That rush of pure pleasure, a delicious meal, a huge win at work, just a moment of real, uncomplicated joy. It's what drives so much of what we do. But here's the crazy thing. What if the very act of chasing that feeling is what's actually leading us straight to pain? Today, we're going to dig into that paradox. I mean, really think about it for a second. That extra slice of cake that ends in a stomach ache and regret, or that nonstop grind for success that just leads to total burnout. How does our search for joy backfire so often? Let's get into it and see if we can find a smarter way to go about this. So, to really get this, we have to start by looking inside our own heads. What even is pleasure? It turns out it's not some fluffy, abstract concept. It's a hardcore biological process, driven by what you could call our own internal pleasure machine. Now, what's fascinating here is the location. Pleasure comes from the limbic system, this ancient, primal part of our brain. This isn't the sophisticated problem-solving part we're talking about. Nope, it's the old part, the one we share with other animals, that's all about raw emotion and basic drives. And that puts it in direct conflict with the newer, more rational parts of our brain. And this right here, this visualizes that internal battle perfectly. Ideally, right, our rational thinking brain is the CEO, calling the shots. But in reality, oh man, it's a total free-for-all. It's this constant tug of war where our basic needs for food, for comfort, and our raw emotions often just steamroll our logic, pulling us in directions we totally know we shouldn't go. Come on, you've totally felt this, right? You've known you should be doing one thing, but some emotional impulse or a deep craving just completely takes the wheel. That's it. That's this lopsided functioning in action. It's not just you. It's a fundamentally human experience. Okay, so let's say we do satisfy that craving and we get that rush of pleasure. Well, there's another problem, isn't there? It never, ever lasts. Why is joy so temporary? Why does it always feel like trying to grab a handful of sand at the beach? This timeline just puts it all into perspective. As a kid, the pure joy of a new toy is everything. Then that gives way to the thrill of winning a game or acing a test in your 20s. But fast forward to your 40s, and those diplomas on the wall, they just don't give you the same buzz. By your 60s, the job titles start to lose their shine. The things that bring us pleasure are always changing, and eventually, they often fade away. Either we outgrow the pleasure or the pleasure itself just leaves us. In this quote from John D. Rockefeller, wow, it's so revealing. Here's one of the wealthiest men in all of history, and his pleasure wasn't in having the wealth, but in the never-ending act of getting more. It just perfectly captures this constant chase for something outside of ourselves. It really makes you wonder, is there ever a finish line to that race? So, we've established that pleasure is temporary, and our brains are basically wired for an internal conflict. But the story gets even more complicated, because sometimes the very pursuit of these good feelings can lead us down some surprisingly dark roads. Jon Favreau just nails it here. Something as wonderful and necessary as food can become a huge source of pain when we overindulge. It's the classic example of a good thing turning bad the moment we lose our sense of balance. Pleasure without limits can so easily become its exact opposite. And hey, this isn't just a vague feeling, it's baked into our brain chemistry. Get this, a really fascinating study found that when we're stressed, our brain's dopamine system, that's the chemical of wanting, it goes into overdrive. It makes us work way harder to get that piece of chocolate. But here's the crazy twist. The actual enjoyment we get from it, the liking part, doesn't increase one bit. Stress basically puts us on this dopamine treadmill where we're just chasing rewards that don't even deliver more satisfaction. Okay, now we're getting to a really unsettling piece of this puzzle. Sometimes pleasure isn't about our own gain. It's about someone else's loss. It's a tough thing to admit, but in a competitive world, seeing a rival stumble can, for some people, produce a genuine little hit of pleasure. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer had a very sharp word for this feeling, diabolical. He saw it as one of our absolute worst traits, right up there with actual cruelty. This drive to feel good by seeing other people fail is just a dangerous and ultimately a really hollow way to find joy. So, given all of these traps, the temporary nature of joy, our own biology working against us, and these hidden dangers, how in the world do we find a healthy, sustainable path to pleasure? Well, this brings us to the solution, a whole new framework for how we think about joy.
The poet Rumi basically figured out the solution centuries ago. The key is balance. That extra slice of cake, that endless chase for more money, anything taken beyond what's necessary can become toxic. It's all about finding that mindful middle ground.
So how do we actually find that balance? This framework is an amazing practical tool. Think of it like a little mental checklist to run through before you chase after any pleasure. Instead of just acting on that impulse, you pause. You ask yourself, do I truly need this? Is this desire just fueled by me comparing myself to other people? What's the real cost here? Is there an ethical way to get this? And is now even the right time? It's like a roadmap for making conscious choices, not compulsive ones. And honestly, this is the heart of the whole thing. If we're going to compare, and we're human, we're going to compare, the only healthy comparison is with ourselves. Measure your progress against who you used to be and who you want to become. This simple shift moves the source of your validation from the chaotic outside world to your own internal journey. So as we wrap this up, I'll just leave you with this question to take with you. Using this new framework, what's one pleasure in your own life that might need a bit of a closer look? The answer could be the key to turning this whole paradox into a source of genuine, lasting joy. Thanks for joining me for this one.